Yeah, here we go now.
In this video, I'm going to show you how to create a brand new YouTube channel if you are a complete beginner. From creating an account to all of the key channel settings to get right so they don't hold you back, turning you into a YouTube pro before you even press record. This step-by-step guide covers all of the latest updates in 2024 and will tell you the most important things to focus on as you start your YouTube adventure. And here is the biggest, most important tip of them all. Stop thinking about it. Stop putting it off. Let's start right now. We'll work on the assumption that you haven't got a YouTube account or that you want to create a new one. Go to youtube.com and then at the top right hand corner of the screen, click on the sign in button. Because YouTube is a Google product, you will need to create a Google account. In this example, we're going to create an account for work or business. And we'll explain why very soon. Hi, I'm Rob, by the way. Welcome to vidIQ. I'll be your guide throughout this video. Forgive these somewhat eccentric glasses. You'll get used to them. I just want to let you know that this video is a safe space. If you are brand new to YouTube, there are no stupid questions. So pop them in the comments below and we'll do our best to answer them all. And you'll also find tons of links to resources that are going to help you set up your YouTube channel in the video description, so make sure to check them out. The next couple of screens will be bog standard form filling stuff. You can either choose an existing email account or create a Gmail account, which is another Google product. Again, in this example, we are setting up a brand new email account because we want to treat our YouTube channel as a business separate from our personal accounts. There's another important reason coming up why you should do this. As for your account password, yeah, that's something I can't. Now you have a next is your channel handle, which can be which will be a round shape. Channel name is just that. On YouTube. It can also be used to find on a video. Think of it like this. There can be many make it memorable. Very essential of your YouTube channel, which looks like this. Yes, not much to look at right now, but you do have a new and important update under your profile picture, which is the YouTube Studio link. So let's head on over there. While there is a lot to take in here, only one thing matters. Upload videos longer. Upload more content to the this time you never never be set to private. That means only you can see the controls. Set this to strict. This next where if the content is made for kids, as YouTube is that YouTube is now very cautious when it comes to content made for kids. If you incorrectly state whether or not your content is made for kids, you could get have people helping you run your channel, and you'll have lots of people wanting to contact you. And that's why we recommend setting up your channel as a business with digital separation from your personal accounts. And now we're going to show you another reason why you need to be security conscious as we explore a little bit more of this YouTube studio. Head so you can do that. The more important right now is contact. This is so whatever you do, make sure you say emails because basically that part of your security is remove the voice. Let's get back to some proper channel setup now with the description box. Let's unmute the description. When people visit your channel on a desktop channel, 80 or so characters of your description. So make it. Don't waste these important lines talking about yourself. Instead, talk about the video to the viewer. And then check out the rest of the description with keywords that will help you to back to more in the branding tab. You've already got the check now to your channel back. If possible, if they are in the right place. Objects that relate to your topic and design style that will match your thumbnails to build or value proposition that speaks the language of your target audience. A basic principle to follow for your channel as a whole and with every single video you make is this. You want to get the viewer to say to themselves as this channel or this video is made for me. Go on, it's like that watch certain videos from your basic and your channel banner places a big opportunity for this platform. Something that you do need to be aware of the channel banners are the date zones that everything will get scratched off in the mobile app. Everything is possible. When you upload a banner, they will show you how the banner will look on the device. As you can see in this example, some graphics will be invisible to those who are on mobile. Your channel banner is the video format. It's really simple, and you can use this one to use. Right hand corner of the screen, there's call to action, subscribe. It's quite an old, outdated system, so this time you don't get that many subscribers. It's really cheap, if you want to download it. That's off the customization. You have the layout option. You haven't uploaded any videos yet, you can see your layout. I'm making the next this will give you access to 3D and sound effects you can download and use your video without using the platform. Another We will track your progress to this milestone for 25 years. Also note and it's two-factor authentication. You'll need to have it on to monetize your channel. Now, there is a relatively new threshold for monetization that requires less subscribers, less watch time, or less shorts views, as you can see on screen now. But this lower tier of monetization does not unlock ad revenue for your channel. That, my creator friends, is a whole video in itself, which we've already made on the channel. As for everything else in the YouTube studio, content management, analytics, and video comments, there isn't much to see yet, as it all depends on you taking a big, leap of faith and making a video. Alright, we're at the business end of YouTube now, making videos people actually want to watch. So here's all to get started on the right way. Be focused. Ask yourself these two questions. Who should be watching your videos, and why should they be watching them? Talk from your target audience and your value proposition. Curiosity and emotion is far more important than SEO in the video tag. Don't just cram your videos with some keywords and only appeal to search-based queries. Tap into the desires, goals, needs, and stories your audience has. Titles and thumbnails are way more important than what you think right now. Everyone sees these key elements of your video. They are the package. So spend time on them, and if possible, create them before you even start your video. But most importantly of all, get creative. Stop watching videos about YouTube and start YouTubing yourself. You need to discover whether or not you like making videos. And I can assure you, but in 6 months' time, you'll look back on your first videos and cringe. And that's a good thing, because you'll be a far better creator because you got your hands creatively dirty. I'll put it to you like this. Nothing beats experience. If you do want to delve more into the creative side of things, we do have this complete beginner's guide to YouTube, which is crammed full of 150 tips. Otherwise, welcome to YouTube. Now go change the world.
Check this out. Want a quick and easy way to make tons of pro-looking videos all by yourself?
I spent $1 million on Scratch Off tickets. You're good. No joke, I bought so many that they literally had to deliver them in a dump truck. I could have bought dozens of cars, multiple houses, and so many other things, but instead we have $1 million in Scratch Off tickets. Here's how it works. You take a ticket, you scan it, and boom, this $50 ticket won $200. So far we're up $150 with one ticket. $100, $0, $0, $100, 50, 50, 0, 0, $100. I've already scanned over $1,000 worth of Scratch-Off tickets, and I'm currently down $200. Whoops. This is going to take forever. Chandler, come help.
I can't believe this is actually $1 million.
I know, it's crazy. How much did you win?
0.
Of course. Carl, we have $1 million tickets. I need help.
Why didn't you just get less money?
I didn't think of that. And after scanning $10,000 worth of tickets, we only made $7,900. I'm gonna call him back up. When I bought $100,000 worth of tickets in this video, it took us 17 hours to scan them. Which is why I brought all these people here today to help me scan $1 million. Woo! Here you go. Here you go. Here you go. Here you go. Gentle. And obviously, since everyone here is helping me, I want to help them. Attention, everybody. I'll give you guys 10% of it. So if we win $10 million, you each get $100 grand. Let's go! Watch this. Boom! All the tickets are gone. There's a flailing Chris. What happened? What happened is we put all the tickets neatly organized on this table.
I did it all by myself.
My job is to make sure people have tickets to scan. Chandler, there's a 10 miller in here. There's more tickets.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sweaty.
Wow. So his last two tickets are 100, 50, 200, 150, 200. He's not losing. This is what I like to hear. He's won 10 in a row.
No, he hasn't.
Yeah. All right, but Carl took one.
Go ahead, go ahead.
$500! Holy crap!
500. 500, baby, Carl! How am I the only person that hasn't got $500?
Sucks. Carl, you lost your right to a computer.
No!
I love how we're just making jokes and being idiots, but this is literally $1 million. Honestly, I feel like I'm kind of numb at this point. Like, this is $10,000. Here you go.
Winner claim it lottery? What is that?
Oh, for tickets above $1,000, it doesn't tell you on the app. You actually have to scratch it. Carl, here's the luckiest quarter in the world.
I'm really bad at being able to tell if I've won.
Carl won $1,000, which is good. Hey, it's more than you won,
Bruh.
but it's not 10 million. Back to scratching. Everybody, read this number. 300. All right, everybody, read this number. 302,905. That's how much we spent. How much have we lost?
Oh, 78,000?
We lost 78 grand! During the time lapse, I had them hold all their winning tickets. How many of you guys have one? This is a winning ticket. This is a winning ticket. This ticket was $1,000. This ticket was $1,000. This ticket was $1,000. This ticket was $1,000. But this ticket was $900.
Wait, really?
Back to work, I guess. We still have $700,000 worth of tickets remaining. Oh, that's gonna be a little.
Can you get out of my seat?
Yeah. So far, I've won $250,000. And at this rate, I'm gonna win $700,000. All the money I win in this video, I'm gonna use to buy a private island. And they don't know this, but I'm gonna host a Survivor competition with all 10 of the people scanning on the island. And whoever wins the competition gets to keep the island. No joke. I hope you guys win a lot of money.
What are you winking at the camera for?
Nothing.
What a suspicious boy.
Everyone, we crossed the $400,000 spent mark. That's 40% of the way. We've won 300 grand. So right now, we're only on track to lose $250,000. I can live with that. It's been a very long day. I want you guys to go home. You guys have 5 a.m. 5 a.m. All right, see you then. It's the next day, and I'm the first one to show up. And like I told you before, we're gonna take the money we make off these $1 million in tickets and buy an island. And when they come in today, I'm gonna reveal that's the plan to them. So I'm gonna make this set look like an island. And boom! This is our new set. We've only scanned 40% of the tickets, so at this rate, we're gonna win $700,000, which can buy this island. Look at it. Look how crazy that looks. And I'm gonna take the 10 people helping me scan, and one of them is getting their very own private island.
Oh, look at that!
Friday?
What? Oh my God, there's sand.
Yes.
I didn't even.
We're currently on track to make 700 grand. I'm gonna have the 10 of you compete in a Survivor on the island. Winner keeps the island. That will go live in a week from when I upload this.
I'm gonna win, because I'm a winner. $50, told you. I always win.
I am getting errors instead. Does that count for anything? There we go.
So, I want you to tell the viewers about Survivor a little bit. Seriously.
Okay. My favorite show. I'm gonna win the island video because of it. I'll tell you that.
Interesting. Keep telling them about it.
Yeah.
Oh, what are you doing?
I knew there was something up. You never want to talk about Survivor, Jimmy.
Everybody, important information. You earned $420,000. What we could buy so far is a $400,000. What's this kind of one? It's a drumstick. It is a drumstick. Now, drumstick. $10 million out of those tickets. Yeah. That's how you motivate. We need a little bit more, 130 more. I did it. Yeah. So far, we have spent $690,000 and $420. $690,000. Tomorrow is the final stretch. See you tomorrow. It is now the third day, and I brought some presents. This is a picture of Chandler with $10 million behind him, because we're winning $10 million today. This is Carl holding a picture of him holding $10 million. This is Carl holding Chris's baby Tucker, but we photoshopped Tucker out and put $10 million in. Here you go, Chris. You get the point.
Literally from the shoot.
That's a picture of you jumping over.
Day 2.
What, dad or something? Oh, welcome back.
I brought my son.
Yep. Chris, you made that?
I made it, dude.
I'm confused. I don't know how you did that by yourself.
You just got to go to the store, you fill out one form, and $500 later, you got one of these things. Nah, just kidding. You have sex. Look at that. We have so many 36s and 38s. It's low. Oh my God. Yo, it's actually not boring. Yeah.
You just made everyone in the room $100.
Hey. Hey. Hey.
Pause this. What is it?
One of the 30 you listen to the video until the probably couldn't tell I'm not a That's because I have and I know how to put inflection in my voice. Transformed into speech in our online text editor. Just choose the language and voice that you want to use. We also know female and even kids' voices. And finally, click number 3.
What does that number say?
$901,283.
And how much did we spend?
$1 million.
Which means we only have $100 grand left. Not gonna lie, I'm getting a little nervous. We still haven't won $10 million yet. No one scan any more tickets. Give me a second.
I feel like I just got in trouble at school.
They say ladders are bad luck, but I'm getting desperate.
So we think it's gonna be good luck this time? Get in the middle. Oh my God.
We now have a black cat that is as bad luck as it gets.
This is your cat.
This is the $5 million ticket. He's under a ladder, holding a black cat covered in salt beside a broken mirror. Scan.
Not a winner.
All right, well, maybe bad luck actually is bad luck. We only have about 6% of the tickets left, and I didn't know this, but you could actually hire a leprechaun. So we have professional leprechauns here to give us good luck.
Good. $500.
$50.
Can't believe you can actually hire leprechauns. Why?
I want to $10. Yeah. Second to last ticket. Here you go.
$100.
We started with 120,000 tickets, and now we have one. Before you scan it, I need to show you guys something. Come over here. Everyone stand behind the table. I went to the bank and I withdrew 70 grand because that's 10% and that's what I told you I'd give you guys. Grab 7 grand and go spend it somehow. Chris scanned the final ticket.
All right. I won us 10 grand before. Let's see if I can.
Just kidding. It's only $100. Our winnings from the $1 million in scratch off tickets was 720 grand. I found a $700,000 island. So this is the island you guys are all. This is going to be serious. Watch the first video. I'm gonna buy this island, and we're gonna all kind of these people. Hello. The next video is $700,000 private island for the island. They're gonna be on this.
ChatGPT.
Protect or keep it. Oh no, yes. I'm going on the next one.
In today's tutorial, we're going to learn how to animate in Clip Studio Paint. By the end of this tutorial, you'll have that you can show. Let's get started. By going to File, New, Animation, Template, set up an animation, and there's the default template of 1920 by 1080. You also get some margins on the outside, so you can doodle on the outside. Kind of useful. You can also set up your frame rate and everything over here, but I want to show you how to set up one just from scratch. So we're going to make a new illustration. set it to 1920 by 1080 pixels, and press OK. And we're going to need two windows, one of which already this window here, and we need our timeline window. So go up to window, make sure your laser is turned on, as well as this window here. We need to make a new timeline. Here we can see timeline and new timeline button. New timeline, and that'll bring up our options on how long our animation is going to be and what the frame rate is. Don't worry about this. Change any of this stuff later if you so choose. But for our example, we're going to do a frame rate of 12 frames per second, and we're going to do a playback time of 24. So at 12 frames per second and then 24 frames long, that's going to give us 2 seconds of animation. If you're using the EX version of Clip Studio Paint, which is the cheaper version, you're limited to 24 frames. But if you're doing simple loops and stuff like that, that should be plenty. If you want an unlimited number of frames to work with, you need to upgrade to the Pro version. And I would wait for it to be on sale, honestly. Clip Studio Paint goes on sale all the time. The rest of these three we don't really need to worry about. They're just there for organizational purposes. And then press OK, and you can see new stuff has shown up in our timeline down here. But we actually can folder is a folder of studio layers that contains all of the cells. It contains all of your up to here. This button that says new animation folder. We'll click that, and it makes a new folder in our timeline, and we can also see a new folder right here in our layers. So in my timeline, I can click and drag this red bar for my playhead. This scrubs through my animation. I can also change how long my animation is or how short the playback is. I can make my animation playback start sooner or end sooner by dragging these. And settings on my animation. It's on the top left. And here's what To start animating, we have to create a new animation cell. You can see right now I have my animation folder selected. I'm on frame 1, but I actually can't draw anything because I don't have an animation cell created. So we're going to click this new animation cell button right here. That'll make a blank frame number 1, and you can see it's added a new layer underneath our group right here, our animation folder. For this example, let's just start with a simple frame. First animation frame. Playhead to frame number 2. Make sure you have the animation folder selected. If I select onto a different layer, animation cell because I don't have my animation folder selected. So make sure you have your animation folder selected. We're on frame 2, and we're going to click New Animation.
Stop and listen closely to these two audio samples. 95
cell. That will get rid of our artwork up here, and we can see that frame number 2 has been added right here, and also a new drawing layer has been added inside of our animation folder. To be able to see what our previous frame was, we want to turn on onion skin, and that's what this one is. So I'm just going to draw it kind of close to a little bit in this direction. I have my thumbnails enabled so that I can see what my drawings look like. If you want to change your thumbnail size, you can click under this 3-line setting button on the top left, go to thumbnail size, and you can change the size of your thumbnails right here. So let's go to frame 3, make sure we have our animation folder selected, press this new animation cell button, and you can always set these to be hotkeys, which is usually a good idea for animation. Speed up your workflow, I highly recommend having hotkeys set up. To edit hotkeys, you can go under File and Shortcut Settings, and if you select Menu Commands up here, all of your animation shortcut keys are going to be under this animation section here. So things like New Animation Cell, which in my setup I have set to F6, could be pretty useful. Also, go to Previous Frame and go to Next Frame is useful to have shortcuts set up for. Typical setup is comma for Previous Frame and Next Frame. So those are some shortcut keys that can be used for this setup. And for that onion skin, currently I only see one previous drawing. If I want to see more than one previous drawing, we can click our settings button on our timeline again, and onion skin setting settings are going to be under Show Animation Cells, and then Onion Skin settings right here. And I can change this to show 3 previous frames and 3 next frames. Here you can also change if you want it to be colored onion skins, half colored, or keep it as the original color. So if I keep it as the original color and press OK, you can see it's turned black. I personally like having colored onion skins just because it allows me to see what the previous drawing was. So now we can see our previous drawings. So let's try drawing number 3 down here. And if we want to play our animation, we can click here. But let's say this feels a little bit fast, this movement from here to here. So we want to do an in-between. So to do an in-between between these two drawings, we can select our frame by clicking on it once. You'll see a red bar behind the frame to show that that frame is selected. So frame number 3 here is selected. I can select it and then click and drag it over by 1, or however many you want. We'll just drag it over by 1. And you'll see that makes frame number 2 last for 2 frames, and then goes on to frame 3. So now what we can do, we can go in between frames 2 and 3, click Add New Animation Cell in between the two, hence the name in between, and then draw in between those two drawings. And that's a way to smooth out your motion. If something's popping way too fast, you can add an in between that way. If you want to select multiple frames, you can click and drag a box around, just like that. And that'll select multiple frames, and then you can click and move multiple frames that way. If you want to copy and paste frames, you don't want to do Control-C and Control-V, because what that does, it copies and pastes a layer over here, which is not what we're trying to do. We want to copy and paste these frames. So to do that, we actually want to right-click, go to Copy, and then go to where we want those frames to be, right-click, and select Paste. So we copy and paste frames in the right-click menu on our timeline. To get rid of a frame, let's say we have a frame of animation that doesn't belong anymore, we can select it and hit this Delete Specified Cells button right here, and that removes it from the timeline. But it actually doesn't delete the drawing still exists, and we can see it over here in our animation folder right here. It's just been unassigned onto our timeline here. So the way the timeline works is it assigns a specific layer onto that part in our animation. So, like I said, our frame that we got rid of, it still exists. It's still over here. And if we want to bring it back, we have to do what's called Specify Frame. And that's this button right here, called Specify Cells. And if we click that, we can see a list of all of our drawings here. So drawing number 4 was the one we just got rid of, so if we select that and press OK, we now have our drawing number 4 back. An easier way to do that is to just right-click in that frame and then select it from the right-click menu here. Likewise, I can also go into my Layers panel here, create a new layer, and then if I want that new layer to be assigned in my animation, I can right-click in here, select frame 5, and that's assigned that layer into here. So let's say for this example, I have my animation frame number 5 right here, and then outside of my animation folder, I have this drawing right here. So you can see this is a separate drawing from my animation frame right here. So let's say we wanted to copy and paste these together. How would we do that? Well, it's not super intuitive actually, and this is something that I struggled with for a long time, figuring out how do I just copy this face and then paste it into frame 5 here. You can see I pressed Control-V, but nothing happened. It made it as a new animation cell. So you can actually see I can right click, select frame 6, and there's the drawing I just pasted. If you want to paste something in and have it merge into the layer below, you actually have to shift select the 2 drawings that you copied and pasted, move it outside the animation folder window, and then you can right click and say merge with layer below. And now if we turn the eyeball on and off, we can cells per
get more followers and drive more sales. It's engaging to watch, super shareable, convert better, and make you feel like you're watching a Pixar movie.
Multiple layers, so you could draw a smiley face in here, you could even do a layer and put it underneath, have your color, so you can even use folders in your animation as single animation cells. Another useful thing to know, if you have a lot of frames and they're all out of order and mismatched as far as names go, you can always go up to Animation, Edit Track, and then select Rename. So now if we play it, we can see what our animation looks like. And if we want it to loop, we can select this loop play button right here, and we can see how it turned out. Pretty neat. If we want to export our animation, we can go up to File, Export Animation, and you can either export it as a movie file or an animated GIF are probably the most common ways you're going to export. Let's select Animated GIF, and then if we save it, it'll bring up some options on how you want it to save. Now, make sure that your file size is the correct size according to your original. Saying how big our animation turned out to be. Press OK, and then we can double click on it to open it. Very cool. So now you can post this GIF in forums, send it to your grandma, whatever you want to do with it. So one thing when animating is you want to make sure that your character stays consistent and that they don't change volume or go off model or anything like that. I just did this ball animation just straight ahead, and you can see that I definitely lost volume. It got a lot smaller. So how do you correct that? How do you fix that? Well, Clip Studio has a tool that's very useful for stuff like that. You can imagine it like taking your first frame as a piece of paper and then being able to place it underneath this frame and move it around. So you can reference your first frame no matter what frame of animation you're drawing on. And that's called the light table. In order to see the light table, we need a new window. So we want to go up to Window, and then select Animation Cells. And I have mine docked over here. It might be down here somewhere. I like having it docked over here, just so I can more clearly see what's going on. And there might be this bar that's like way down here and like really hard to see. You want to make sure to take this bar and drag it up around the middle. So make sure that's there. One last thing of setup is on these 3 buttons down here that say Enable Disable Light Tool, you want to select this third one right here. And then to be able to use it, you want to select Enable Light Table up here. So make sure only the third one is turned on here and Enable Light Table is turned on over here as well. So the way this works is super easy. Just go to whatever frame you want to reference. In this case, frame number 1. And green. That will here and select frame 1 from this bottom section here, and that will automatically switch you to the tool you need to move it around. So you can see our transformation tools appear here. We can rotate it using this handle. We can change where it rotates with this cross right here. We can scale it by dragging the corners. We can also flip it horizontal by selecting this flip horizontal button up here, or flip it vertical using the button next to it. And if you want to reset your transformation, you click this Reset Transformation button here, and that will set it back to its default position. So for this example, we want to move it underneath our layer here, and to get back onto our original frame, we want to select the top layer, in this case, layer number 14 under our light table tool here. And now we can go back in and redraw our frame so it's the correct size. Also on the light table, you can change its color by selecting this top right button here and selecting monochrome, and that'll change it to this blue color. You can change it by clicking this drop down and then selecting change layer color and turn it into any color you want. You can keep this light table on and just turn it on and off using this enable light tool button here. And if you want to get rid of the frame from your And I'll just draw my... I want to click on this button, enable keyframes on this layer, and when we click it, it turns on, and now we can click this plus on our animation, and then click this arrow to drop down to show all the things that we can animate. So you can animate position, rotation, scale. You can also animate opacity down here. You can right click and go to add keyframe, and then let's drag our playhead to the last frame. And in order to move this and change it, we actually don't want to use the move layer tool, and we don't want to press Ctrl T to transform it. That's not going to work. We actually want to use this tool in Clip Studio, which is under operation, and then click object. And then when we click on our layer, we'll see our transform tools appear. So now we can take our animation, and if we hold shift while we move it, it'll stay in a straight line, and you'll see that'll automatically create keyframes in between. And if we drag our playhead, we now have a motion tween. If we play it, you'll see he starts out slow, speeds up, and then slows down again. So this is called smooth interpolation. In order to change it at the beginning, and also change it to be linear at the end here. Now if we play it, you'll see there's no easing at the beginning and the end. So that's how to motion tween an animation. You'll see in this example, I drew a walking guy. Here, and that enables us to go back into frame-by-frame animation mode, where we can do a new animation cell, turn on our onion skin, draw our second frame, and then we can just animate frame by frame this way. So now we have our frame by frame animation. If we have our animation selected and we enable keyframes again, we can now play it with our frame by frame animation happening on our motion tween. Also with these keyframes, you can right-click on them and switch their interpolation from the right-click menu as well. You can also copy and paste them by right-clicking, going copy, and then right-clicking and going paste. And you can drag them around simply by dragging and moving them. And if you want to get rid of one, you can click this delete keyframe button right here, and that'll get rid of it. So now that we know how to motion tween, we can animate a camera. To add a camera to your scene, we want to go up to Animation, New Animation Layer, and select 2D Camera Folder. And when we do that, we can see it added a camera on our timeline layer, as well as a camera folder right here. So the way the camera works in Clip Studio Paint is anything you want to be affected by this camera has to be inside of this camera folder. So chances are you want to shift select your entire animation and just click and drag it into the camera folder like so. And now when we animate the camera, it should affect our entire timeline. Right here. Add frame number 24. Actually, let's have it zoom in on frame 13 and then track and follow the character out to the last frame. So on frame 13, we want to add a keyframe by clicking this Add Keyframe button here, and then go to our Object tool, which is under Object, and the camera is what you want. You probably want to scale into the center here. So the way to do that is you want to click the corner, click and hold, and then hold down your Alt button, and that will scale it towards the center. And now you can see these camera movement indicators here on the corner here. So let's go into our press. Again, you can camera moving, but it's kind of hard to tell what's going on. If you want to actually see what your animation's going to look like, you have to go under Animation, Playback Settings, and then Render 2D Camera. So if we select that and then play it, now we can see what our camera looks like. Follow our character. Again, we can the same axis right about there. And now when we play it, Well, we can see our camera moving, but it's kind of hard to tell what's going on. If you want to actually see what your animation's going to look like, you have to go under Animation, Playback Settings, and then Render 2D Camera. So if we select that and then play it, now we can see what our camera looks like. So that's how to animate a camera in Clip Studio Paint. The last thing I want to talk about is lip sync in Clip Studio Paint. Now, technically not an animation program. One of the downsides about Clip Studio Paint is you can't scrub audio, which if you know anything about lip sync, scrubbing audio is super important. It's how you understand where the syllables are and everything. So it's not the best, but I'll show you how to do it anyway. To import audio into your animation, you can literally drag it from a folder into your animation.
Okay, here we go, guys. Now
Is to go to File, Import, and select Audio. Then select the audio you want to import. I recommend using .wav files. They seem to give the best reliability and performance as opposed to .mp3 files. So select your .wav file. If you want to record your own audio, I recommend using the free program Audacity and a microphone. You could also download audio from Let's Plays or movies that you really like to experiment with. So it's added our WAV file to the top of our timeline here. And if we go to the top of the layer, you'll see our cursor turns into a hand. So we can actually click and drag and move this audio around just like that. So if we want it to start later, we can do that there. And again, there's no audio scrubbing. So scrubbing it over the audio actually doesn't do anything. I can't hear anything doing it this way. So what I have to do is I have to play it. Golly! And kind of just see where my playhead is at the different syllables. So when doing lip sync animation, I actually recommend animating the body first. In this section, I'm going to talk about how to animate a lip sync. Get to the part before expressions, before your eyes, before lip sync, before any of that stuff is applied. And a way we can do that is animating our rough animation first. I like animating with really simple shapes before I animate more complex shapes. It's just easier to squash and stretch. Really cleaned up drawing. This is usually settle after the main volumes of body have moved. So things like hair, boobs, the fat of the character are all really good examples of that. So he squashes down to prepare for his line, and maybe he jumps up for golly. And again, I'll use my light table just to make sure I'm keeping things consistent. And we want him to end up back on frame number 1. So I'm going to right click onto that frame. First of all, let's name these. So this is rough body layer, and this will be rough overlap for overlapping action. So for overlapping action, I usually like to have the root follow the body and then leave the tail of anything about 1 or 2 frames behind. So that's kind of what I'm keeping in mind as I'm going through and doing these. So the root follows the body, then the tail gets left behind, and I kind of just animate it straight ahead. And then anytime the character stops is when I'll start to have overlapping actions start to catch up. So even though the body is holding for a frame, I'll have his hat and his hair start to settle, and then really big moves. Follow and start to trail behind. Start from frame 1 and then work your way through the animation, sort of 1 frame at a time from beginning to end. You follow what the body is doing. So here's where he's landing, so his hair and everything really gets left behind. And then here we can start to affect it. So And that looks pretty good. I think we could probably call that good.
Golly!
So there's our rough body acting. So now what we could do is we could take these animation folders, click, and then create folders. Lower that folder. Animation folders and set them to low opacity. You can also click this button here to turn folders into a blue sketch layer and then lower the opacity, which is really nice for doing rough animation. And then we'll do a new animation folder on top and we'll call this cleanup. So this is just a suggested workflow. It's something that may work for you if you're learning how to animate in Clip Studio Paint. So I'm going to go through and clean up all of my keyframes first, since those are my main poses. And now that I have all my keyframes cleaned up, I can go ahead and start doing my in-betweens.
Do you hate recording or having to order voiceovers? How cool would it be to be able to just enter your text and get a perfect sounding voiceover created for you in a snap?
Okay, now we have our cleanup all done.
Golly!
We can start animating his mouth. So let's make a new animation folder and draw his now. And then like an E-shaped mouth, and then tongue touching the top of the teeth, then sort of an E-shaped mouth, and then back to default. So this is like the G, and then A, and then L, and then E. So those are the kind of mouth shapes I think I'm gonna go for. So test these out. So let's compare this at least on the side. Onion skin. There's a million different ways to do what I'm doing here, but my plan here is to animate the mouth just on one layer in the same place, and then we'll use motion tweens to move it into place on our animation here. Another way to do it is on the character. Also, audio are going to happen. For golly, and then L for Lee. So if we drag to where the audio is and press play from that spot, we can kind of hear that there's an L shape happening there. Again, not the most efficient way to lip sync, but it works. So there's our L shape, and then E happens about here. And for the final frame, I generally like to have the mouth close about 3 to 5 frames after the audio is done. Now that's on 24 frames per second. Remember, we're on 12, so about half of that would be like 2 frames after the audio is done, 2 to 3 frames. So if we play what we have so far,
golly,
that's not bad.
Golly!
One thing I would recommend doing for lip sync is after you get it pretty well timed out, select all of your mouth shapes and move on 1 frame behind if you're on 12 frames per second, or if you're on 24 frames per second, move it 2 frames behind. Because light travels faster than sound is typically how I've heard it explained, but it just makes lip sync match just a little bit better.
Golly!
And I think that looks pretty good. And that's one of the reasons I like to animate on a separate layer and then motion tweak. Just move the mouth where it needs to be, and when you see it creates One final thing I want to go over before we end this tutorial is how to create animation in Studio Covering it, create a new layer works is if you use a tool like the paint bucket tool, it's going to consider any layer that has a reference turned on and will actually use it to fill it in, even though we're not filling in on that layer itself. So that's super neat. Under your tool options, it should be enabled by default, but with your paint bucket selected, you'll want to have this little lighthouse turned on. And you can click once to fill in each section, or what I like to do is click and drag to have it fill in multiples. So we could really quickly just go frame by frame, create blank animation cells, and just really quickly fill in colors this way. Like that, and it's source animation files and access to a secret Patreon-only chat. Keep on animating, and until next time.
Yay! Done. Yay! Wow, thank you guys, congrats. Wow. To Lord Island now. Welcome. Almost done, guys. After this, guys, if we already finished this onto the chapter 13, guys, we will uninstall this game and then, yes, vlog all the time if you want, okay? That's all. The end. Thank you. Woo! Game on. We already finished the boss, baby. Ready done for the boss. Yay! Woo! We finished the boss.